Okay, this is the solution to your first problem in chapter 15, problem 15.2. If we look in the text on problem 15.2, we have two options. The first option is monthly rent of $4,000, $4,100, and $4,200 for years 1 through 3. So our years actually change. The rent's going to go up $100 a year, and that's for 3 years. And the second alternative is a combination of rent of $3,000 a month and a percentage of sales. So we're going to see how to do the percentage of sales on this problem, and we're going to actually be a little bit redundant on our monthly rent. So for the first alternative, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and discount our monthly rent. In year 1, we have $4,000, so we're going to take $4,000 and multiply it by PVA for 11 periods of 1%, and then we're going to add the $4,000 to that, and we're going to sum our 3 years. So year 2, we have 4,100 times PVA for 11 periods of 1%. It's 11 periods because the 12th period is today, and that's the plus the 4,100. And then we need to discount year 2 by 1 year, because if you remember, it ends up at the beginning of year 1 instead of at year 0. We do those calculations, and we do that by multiplying it by the PV for 1 year at 12%. So we do periods for the month, and we do years. Well, years, we do the 1 period, which is a year, at 12%. And of course, the 1% is because there's 12 months in the year. So we take the 12% and divide it by 12. When we do the math and we look up the PVA for 11 periods at 1%, we get 10.3676, I apologize. So we do our math, 4,000 times 10.3676 plus 4,000, and we get 45,470.4. On year 2, we take the 4,100, we multiply it by 10.3676, and then we add the 4,100 again, and then we discount that whole amount by 1 year at 12%, and that multiplier is 0.8929. We get 41,615.53. And then finally for year 2, we take 4,200, multiply it by 10.3676, which again is the multiplier for 11 periods at 1%. We add the 4,200 to it, and then we discount that one for 2 years at 12%, and that multiplier is 0.7972, giving us $38,061.45. When we add all this together, the present value of this rent option is $125,147.38. If you remember, we want the lowest rent. Rent is an expense, so the lower the rent, the better. On alternative 2, because we don't know our sales at the end of the month, we need to go ahead and focus on that, and we'll do that on the next problem. The first thing the next portion of this problem, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the rent portion, and it's just like alternative 1, where we go ahead and take our monthly rent and we multiply it by PVA for 11 periods of 1%, and then we add the $3,000 to it. And then for years 2 and 3, we need to take that same amount and discount it for 1 year in year 2 and 2 years in year 3. When we do the math, we get $34,102.80 for the first year, $30,450.39 for the second year, and $27,186.75 for the third year. You could have actually done this all in one calculation as a present value of annuity for 36 months, or 35 months rather, and then add the 3,000. But I like to keep things consistent, so I just go ahead and do it year by year. That way I'm teaching you how to do any problem, and you don't have to differentiate between one or the other. So the present value of the rent portion is $91,739.94, and we got that by adding years 1, 2, 3 together. Now we need to add the percentage of sales to that. We take our monthly rent, and that was given to us in the text, and if you're not sure if it's monthly, just read. It says it forecasts average monthly sales as follows. So our monthly, our 1% of our monthly rent for year 1 is $950. For year 2 is $1,050, and finally for year 3 is $1,200. Because because the percentage of sales is at the end of the month, we need to discount all of those months, and we do that by using 12 periods at 1%. So we do the calculation of 950 times PVA of 12 periods of 1%, and that PVA multiplier is 11.2551. Again, these problems look kind of the same, whereas in year 2 and year 3 we need to go ahead and take our answer and then discount it by 1 year at 12%. 1 year at 12% is 0.8929, and 2 years at 12% is 0.7972. Okay, we do our math. For alternative 2, we get 10,692.35 as our present value of percentage of sales for year 1. It's a little bit lower in year 2, 10,552.16, and then finally 10,767.07. We add those up and we get 32,011.58. We need to add that to our rent of $91,739.94, and we get $123,751.52. So this is the alternative we choose because it is lower than the fixed rent option of $125,147.38.